Hello, everyone. Welcome to Introduction to Digital Media Studies. I'm Dr. Elliot Parker. I wanted to take a moment to welcome you to the class and to introduce myself and to let you know that there's actually going to be another person on the other side of the computer screen that is going to be working with you and interacting with you over the course of the semester. So the purpose of this video lecture is just to introduce the course and speak broadly about what we're going to be doing over the course of the semester, what some of our goals and objectives are, and how we're going to accomplish those goals and objectives, and to give you an opportunity to learn a little bit more about me and my background. But before we get to that, I just wanted to point out a couple of things that I think will really be helpful to you as we move throughout the course this semester. The first thing is be sure that you reach out and let me know if you have questions, concerns, or you're struggling with anything at any time. Because we are in an online environment, we're using Blackboard Ultra. We have very little face-to-face interaction with each other. We're not meeting 3 days a week or 2 days a week in a traditional classroom setting. If you're struggling or you have questions or something is not working, you're having problems using Blackboard Ultra, whatever it may be, if you are struggling and you don't reach out to me and say anything, I just assume everything is okay and that you're doing fine. So don't suffer in silence. Please reach out to me and let me know if you have any questions or concerns at any time as we move throughout the semester. All of my contact information is listed in the syllabus, which is below this module folder, and you can access that information shortly. And if those days and times in terms of office hours do not work for you, please feel free to reach out to me and let me know. I'm happy to meet at a day or time that works best for you. And the second thing I want to point out is do make sure that you follow the module folders and you follow the module assignments in sequence and in order. Make sure that you read everything closely. Make sure that you download and view all the videos and podcasts and audio files that are connected to those modules, because everything builds and scaffolds off of each other. And if you skip a step, you skip an assignment, you skip one of those tasks, I think it's going to make your success and your understanding of everything else going on in the module a little more problematic. So those are the two best pieces of advice I could give you starting out, is to reach out and let me know if you have any questions or concerns, and be sure that you do the module assignments in order and that you click and access everything that's available to you, and make sure that you read everything carefully, follow instructions, and do all of those things in order to be successful. Some of you I know have more experience taking online classes than others. Some of you maybe have experience using Blackboard or our new version, Blackboard Ultra. Some of you have very limited experience with that. So no matter where you come in terms of accessing Blackboard or taking an online class, no matter what your background is, where you come from with that, keep in mind that I think you will find as we get into the course and you see how the course is designed and how the modules are set up and how everything flows going forward, I think you're going to do just fine. But if you have any questions or concerns or any anxieties about it, please reach out and let me know. But I think you're going to do just fine, even if you have a little bit of limited experience with using Blackboard or Blackboard Ultra. This is one of my favorite classes to teach. I'm so excited to be working with you this semester because everything that we talk about, the topics, issues, and themes that we examine over the course of the semester, are things that you're already interacting with and using every day in your day-to-day life, both as a student and as a consumer and as a person who engages with society and information in society on a daily basis. And I also think a lot of what we talk about is going to be applicable to you in your program study here at Ole Miss. And also when you get into the working world, you get into the workforce, and you're having to interact with all of these in a more professional setting on a day-to-day basis, I think you're going to be well equipped to understand and handle that. So a lot of what we do and deal with and talk about this semester is really going to have a lot of real-world implications and a lot of real-world context to it. So I'm very excited about that as well. So before we get to the themes and the overall course structure and what we're going to be doing this semester, I wanted to take a moment to just share some information with you first and to give you just a basic idea of where we're going and what we're doing this semester, and to give you an opportunity to learn a little bit more about me. So this is Introduction to Digital Media Studies, and I just wanted to let you know that as we think about moving forward, everything that we talk about this semester is going to have a digital media component, or a component of communication, or a component of journalism, or a component of all of those things, sometimes woven together, sometimes separate, depending on what we're looking at and what we're working on. So that's one expectation that I think you want to have as we go throughout the semester. But before I got to that, I wanted to tell you just a little bit about me. And so where my background and where I come from, and how I got here, and what I've been up to. in my life and in my career. So I was a journalist for a while prior to working as a college professor. I worked on the copy desk for the Charleston Gazette. I also worked for a company called Tri-Cities Broadcasting, which I believe now is Bristol Broadcasting, located in Bristol, Virginia. I was a staff writer and on-air broadcaster for them. I wrote a lot of sales proposals, contracts, ad copy so that the DJs and things could read commercials on the air, pretty much anything that involved writing with the company. I worked on that primarily and also did some on-air work. We were responsible for covering Bluefield, Virginia, Bluefield College in Bluefield, Virginia. We covered their men's football and men's basketball. We were their radio home, their network home, and so I did some on-air work for them. And that's really what I did for a while before becoming a college professor. So I got my bachelor's degree in journalism. I got an MFA in creative writing, and then got my PhD in English at Murray State University. I'm from West Virginia originally, just outside of Charleston, West Virginia, and I've been here at Ole Miss since 2019. So prior to that, I taught at Marshall University for 3 years. I was at Mount West Community and Technical College for 10 years after that, and then I came to Ole Miss in 2019. In addition to that, I'm also a fiction author. You can see two titles of my two most recently released books there at the bottom of the screen. Table for Two there on the left, and the tannish color cover. Say that 3 times fast with the chairs on the front. That is a collection of multi-genre short stories. The book called Double Cross there on the right with the black cover is a murder mystery or a thriller that is set in West Virginia where I grew up. So when I'm not teaching or doing things related to school, I'm usually writing fiction. And it's something that started for me a number of years ago just as a hobby, and it's really blossomed and ballooned into something that's been really, really neat and really, really a lot of fun. In addition to that, in terms of other things about my life, my favorite food is Italian. So if you have any really good Italian recipes, please feel free to pass them along. If you want to come by sometime in my office and bring me some really tasty and delicious Italian treats, I would be happy to accept those as well. So I don't know what your favorite food is, but I could eat Italian food every day till I was 800 pounds. It's just the best, and it's my favorite. And then I also have two cats, Buddy and Layla, and you can see them there on the far screen on the right. Buddy is the orange cat on the top, and Layla is my little gray cat there on the bottom. Layla actually will turn 18 in October of 2025, and Buddy will be 10 years old in January of 2026. So if you have cats, you know how much fun they are, you know how much joy they can bring to your life. If you don't have cats, I can tell you for certain that life is so much better with kitty cats. So if you don't have a kitty cat or you're thinking about getting one, just go ahead and do it. You won't regret it. They bring a lot of fun and joy to your life for sure. And dogs are great too. I just have a cat lifestyle. So that's enough about me. And just to give you a little bit of information about me and my background and kind of where I come from and how all this sort of happened for me. Now let's transition from that and talk about DMS 101 and DS 101. What is this? Why is this important? Why are you taking this class? Why is this class connected to your program of study here at Ole Miss? Well, I think if you look at some key terms to think about with this course and what it does those 5 things that I've got listed there. There's 4 things I've got listed in those 5 bullet points. It fosters, prepares, develops, and empowers. So we're going to look at critical thinking. We're going to talk about and practice critical thinking, how that applies in a digital world and in a digital environment. We're going to look at tech and communication, all the different jobs, careers, fields that people are doing currently, and maybe some things that are coming down the road with artificial intelligence as we think about technology and communication and how digital media is involved in all of that and how that relies on us to not only use it every day, but also interpret and analyze and respond to it. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to look at developing some essential skills, both in media creation and analysis. So over the course of the semester, you'll have some mini projects that you'll create, which will pull together a lot of the essential skills that we're talking about in the modules, and we'll get into more of that later on in the semester. We're going to have an opportunity to look at a lot of digital platforms over the course of the semester. We're going to look at blogs. We're going to look at YouTube videos. We're going to look at podcasts. We're going to look at articles. We're going to look at a variety of texts that connect to and are related with and involving digital media in some way, shape, or form over the course of the semester. And we're going to talk about what those are. Why do we use them? What is the benefit and drawback to society to have all of these digital media platforms available to us? And then what are some ethical concerns we need to consider, both as users of the technology and as users of this digital media, but also as consumers of the digital media, as we're having information sort of thrown at us and exposed to us. How are we going to interact and engage with that responsibly and ethically? We'll touch on that over the course of the semester. And I think this is a discipline and a field, and this idea and this concept of digital media is really critical for navigating, I think, rapid technological change and creating, I think, what I said is a more informed, resilient, and ethically minded society. So the only way we're going to understand how this works, what it does, how digital media functions and relates and interacts with all of us is to participate in it and to engage with it, but also to do so responsibly and ethically with an understanding of fostering, preparing, developing, and empowering. So we're going to work on those skills as it relates to the class over the course of the semester. And again, you're doing a lot of this already in your day-to-day interactions with digital media, and you're going to be doing a lot of this in your program of study here at Ole Miss and also when you get into the workforce. But it's a good idea to have an understanding as you move through those processes and you move through those frameworks, how all of this comes together. So, based on that, what are we going to be doing in the class this semester? Well, we're going to talk about digital literacy. We're going to talk about how to have a strong understanding from both a critical thinking perspective, but also an ethical perspective of digital media by understanding what digital literacy is. What does it mean? How does it connect to us? Where are we in this digital literacy continuum as we think about things right now? What maybe is coming on the horizon that we need to keep in mind with regards to digital literacy? We're going to talk about that as we come up with a definition. We're going to examine social media. We're going to look at Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all those social media tools that you're familiar with, Snapchat and everything that you use or are familiar with on a day-to-day basis. What are they? Why are they structured the way that they are? How are they similar to and different from one another? What's their ultimate goal? What's Snapchat's goal with their platform versus what's Instagram's goal with their platform? We're going to get into a lot of that. We're going to talk about social media influencing. What is social media influencing? Who are our social media influencers? How do they get started? Why do they do what they do? Why is it important? Why do we listen and pay attention to what they do and say? And then talk about the flip side of that, which is cancel culture. When someone steps outside of the bounds that someone else thinks is normal or reasonable or whatever, this idea of just sort of canceling them, making them sort of an outcast in society, usually starting with limiting or restricting or deactivating their access to digital media. We're going to look at that and cancel culture. And is it still a thing? And is it going to be something that we need to think about going forward? We're going to talk about fake news. We're going to talk about that term. I know you've heard if you watch television or you follow politics or you listen to people talk, has been thrown around a lot over the last 4 to 8 years. We're going to talk about what does that actually mean when someone says this is fake news. What are they talking about, and how can we as consumers have an understanding of what good, real, honest, ethical, principled information is versus what is fake news? We'll get into that. We'll talk about the privacy and ethics of online information and communication. Those are things like catfishing. Those are things like misrepresenting yourself online. Those are things like stealing your identity. Those are things like putting information out there, having a digital footprint that sort of follows you everywhere you go. And what does that mean? And how does that influence your day-to-day life and behavior? We'll get into some of that. And then as we get towards the end of the semester, we'll talk a little bit about artificial intelligence. This is something in digital media that is changing almost every day, changing almost every week. And none of us, I think, really have a firm understanding of what it is or what this is or how it works or where we're headed. But we will kind of take an inventory of AI, where we are now, why we're using it, what it's being used for, and where we headed with it as a platform in the future. So those are going to be some of the things we're doing in the course over the semester. So how are we going to get there? How are we going to examine those topics around those broader goals of empowering and developing and critical thinking and all of that? Well, we're going to do it through a variety of different steps. Some are going to be shorter and longer writing assignments. These will scaffold in nature, meaning what you start writing at the beginning of the module will ultimately tie into your larger assignments and projects as you move throughout the modules. And we'll have some longer writing assignments, some reflection activities, and other things designed to get you thinking about and reflecting upon what we're learning and what we're talking about in class. You'll have a chance to interact with your classmates over the course of the semester through discussion boards and other activities. So hopefully you'll have a chance to get to know each other a little bit better, even though we're in an online class. And we're going to have a lot of different types of digital media embedded in the course. So we're going to have simulations, we're going to have interviews, we're going to have articles, we're going to play some games over the course of the semester that kind of put you in the role of a digital media consumer and put you in the role of thinking about how information is conveyed to you as a consumer of digital media. We'll play some games that are a lot of fun and really interactive over the course of the semester. And that's not only going to put you in the position of the consumer, but it's going to tie in the concepts, the terms, the issues, everything that we talk about in the course this semester. In addition to all of that, we're going to look at some case studies of actual issues, both going on currently with digital media studies and things that have happened in the recent past that affect digital media studies today and that are things we look back on and say, oh, we don't do it that way anymore because of case study one, or we need to not do this going forward because of case study two, whoever that was involving and whatever that was involving at that particular time. What are we learning from those case studies? What do those case studies tell us about digital media? So we're going to look at that as well. So how can you be successful? How can you do really well in this class, particularly if you've never taken a lot of online courses or you've never taken an online course or your experience with Blackboard and online learning is limited? I would say the best piece of advice I could give you is come to class, quote unquote. Stay on top of your assignments, log into Blackboard Ultra a couple times a day. Make sure you have a plan. Make sure you have a weekly schedule set out for this class in terms of when you're going to do your reading, when you're going to do your assignments, when are you going to post to discussion boards if that's applicable. How is your path every week going to be structured around your other courses and other things that you've got going on with regards to your academic life and your social life? So come to class. If you check in, reach out to me if you have questions or concerns, but if you sort of come up with a plan each week for how you're going to work through the different content in the course, I think that's going to make everything much better for you and make you more successful. Also, I would say maintain a positive attitude. Not every module is going to be easy. There's going to be some things that you're going to look at in the module and think, I already know what that is. I use that every day. I'm not learning anything new here. But you're going to have some days where you're going to be asked to sort of think about maybe an old topic or an old platform or an old issue in a new way, and it may not come easy to you. So if that's the case, don't get frustrated. Don't get too hard on yourself. It's going to be okay and you'll be fine. But just maintain that positive attitude. Learning is a difficult process. Anytime we learn something new, it's not easy. It's not meant to be easy. But if you get frustrated with yourself and down on yourself, it makes everything that much harder. So maintain a positive attitude. As I mentioned earlier, ask for help if you need it. Don't suffer in silence. If you don't let me know there's a problem or that you need help, I have no idea otherwise. So don't hesitate to reach out and let me know if you have questions or concerns. And as always, do your best. Do the very best that you can do with everything involved in the course as you go throughout the semester. And I think you will end up not only learning a whole lot, but having a good experience as well. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. That is my introduction to the class, my introduction to me. And I hope that that has given you a little bit more of a concrete. I'm glad to have you in class this semester. Please let me know if you have any questions or concerns moving forward, and I'll talk to you again soon.